All right. All right, I'm just getting my presentation set up here. And we'll get started. Okay, just one moment. Okay. To share. Okay. All right, I think we are all set. Just make sure it all, yep, perfect. All right, and we'll just wait for more people to file in and then we can get started. All right. We're just going to wait a couple more minutes to get started so people can start to file in. And then we'll get going. All right, so we'll just go ahead and get started, and then people can start to roll in throughout the presentation. So basically, the topic that we're going to be talking about today is New Year, Renewed You. So this is a topic that I talk about all the time with my clients. I'm sure all of you are hearing it just on social media from the people in your life, talking about New Year's resolutions and, waiting until the new year to start your goals. So what we're going to do today is just get ahead of all of that new year energy and talk about mastering goals and wellness for 2024. So if you haven't met me before, my name is Caitlin. I am a registered dietitian at On Point Nutrition, and my handle is below here, and so is the On Point Nutrition handle. So give us a follow just for some nutrition content, some helpful tips and tricks, and to learn a little bit more about our programs. So let's get into it. So again, if you haven't joined us before, On Point Nutrition is an online nutrition counseling company, and we help people improve their health and build a better relationship with food through one-on-one, science-backed, holistic approaches, ditching the diet culture mentality. So we are not the people who are going to have you do any sort of extreme diet or anything that's going to cut out any major food groups. We really focus on helping you reach your health goals in a holistic way. And what that means is we honor your health goals while also matching that with your quality of life. And some of the things that we work on with our clients are condition management, weight changes, just improving overall health, improving habits. So really anything that you're looking to do in terms of improving your relationship with food, your nutrition status, your habits around food is what we help people with. And since we are a team of dietitians, we can also help with condition management as well. So things like diabetes, PCOS, gut health, all those sorts of things. So as far as what I do, I am a registered dietitian on the team, and I specialize in gut health, but also just, general wellness and helping people reach their goals. And I also do these presentations. So I have been doing presentations for Accenture for a few months now, and I'm really excited about this topic today. I think it'll be really helpful in setting some realistic New Year's resolutions. So again, my handle's right there. Give me a follow. I'd love to hear from you. And throughout the presentation, if you want to throw any chats in the chat box, I would love to hear your comments and just create an open discussion. So the topics that we'll cover today is when to start setting goals, finding the gray area, setting SMART goals, which we'll talk about what that means a little bit later, preparing for challenges, creating accountability, and maintaining your progress. So not only are we going to talk about the actual goal setting scenario or goal setting process, but we're going to talk about how to maintain your goals over time. And I think that tends to be the biggest challenge for people. So a question that I want you to start thinking about is, do you find it difficult to achieve your New Year's resolutions? So I can say that in the past, before I started working as a dietitian and before I started working with clients, I would set these lofty New Year's resolutions that I would almost never keep. And it's something that I see my clients doing all the time. I see people in my life doing it all the time. And it's just difficult to achieve the New Year's resolutions that a lot of us are used to setting. If you have any comments about this, I'd love to hear it. Throw it in the chat. We can create a discussion around it. But I think this is something that I hear from my clients a lot, that it's very difficult to achieve their New Year's resolutions. If you've had success in the past, that's amazing. And I'd love to hear about how you achieved those goals and what you did to make them more manageable. So on that note, you're not alone. If you're feeling like your New Year's resolutions are difficult to achieve, or you're constantly setting them every January, and then you're finding that, in a couple of weeks you've abandoned them, or you're looking back at the end of the year and you have not achieved your goals, you are not alone. This is a list of the top 5 resolutions from 2023 from a study conducted by Forbes. So 3 of these are nutrition and fitness related, and that's why we're talking about this today. So being a nutrition expert, I wanted to focus on a topic that is so saturated in the nutrition world. And being that the 3 of the top goals of 2023 were nutrition and fitness related, this clearly touches a lot of people. So the ones that I'm talking about are improved fitness, improved, sorry, my little mirror is over this, improved diet, and weight loss. So those are the 3 that are really the top ones for 2023 that a lot of people were focusing on at the beginning of the year. So many of us want to work on our nutrition and fitness goals, but we have such a hard time sticking to them. And that's really what I see with my clients as well. You have the greatest intentions setting out for these goals, but it's very, very hard to achieve them and maintain them. And we know this not only from my lived experience in working with clients, but 9% of people who set New Year's resolutions actually achieve them. That is such a small number. And on top of that, 20% of resolutioners quit after the first week. So not only are we only having 9% reach their goals by the end of the year, but after the first week, 20% of people have already jumped ship. So how do we make these goals more realistic? The problem isn't us. It's the type of goals that we're setting. So that's what we're really going to talk about today, is how to make these resolutions more achievable and how to maintain them over time. So the first point that I want to talk about is when to start setting goals. So the biggest thing that I hear from people is that they want to wait until January 1st, or they want to wait until the new year, or they want to wait until after the holidays. That's what's holding you back from actually starting these goals. So when we think about waiting until the new year or waiting until after the holidays, we're already letting these barriers get in the way. So the barriers in your life might be stronger right now because of the holidays, because of the time of year, because of, our ability to just kind of cozy up and shelter in this time of year and not really, get out there and start new things. But your goals should fit your lifestyle now. And that's really what I talk to most of my clients about. There's no reason to wait in till the new year, because your goals don't have to be so lofty that these barriers are holding you back. Your goals should not be so intimidating that you want to put them off until or don't feel like you can accomplish them until the event, the trip, the holiday is over, whatever might be holding you back. Goals should be small, short-term, and attainable and tailored to your abilities at the time. So in that case, they should be set consistently and often. It's okay to have loftier goals and your ultimate goal of, I want to lose X amount of pounds, or I want to, lower my cholesterol, or I want to run a marathon, or whatever it might be. But we're not going to, after never running in our whole lives, get off the couch and just run a marathon. There has to be small steps that are taken in between. So what's achievable today? What's achievable this week? What's achievable this weekend? It needs to be short term, and those goals need to be setting you up to reach your ultimate goal. This also allows you to feel accomplished along the way. So one of the biggest things that I find that my clients have a hard time with is that they set these really lofty goals that are not manageable, and then they feel like they're constantly failing, which should not be the case. For you to want to stick to this and to actually make progress, you should be achieving these small goals along the way and feel accomplished. We want you to feel like you're constantly making progress, and progress is much better, in my opinion, than perfection. No one can ever be perfect, and your lifestyle will not set you up to be perfect. So looking for progress is the key. Okay, so on that note, finding the gray area. So that was the perfect transition into my next topic, which is that feeling of black and white thinking. So many of my clients find it difficult to achieve their goals because they have that all or nothing mindset. So this is the black and white, on or off, 0 or 100 thinking that results in people failing to reach and maintain their health goals. This is something that I think has been the biggest challenge across the board with all of my clients, is that we are so conditioned to think that we need to be perfect or it's not worth doing. But if you, let's say, so this is one of the analogies that I like to use with my clients. If you had a test coming up, but you only had 30 minutes to study rather than hours or days, it would still be worth studying for 30 minutes, right? You're going to do that last minute skim. You're going to pick out all of the things that you can, try to lock it in your brain, and then do the best you can on that test. The same is true with setting and maintaining goals. Focus on what you can do at the time, not what you can't. Another thing that I like to talk about with my clients is the 0 to 100%. So my clients often think, and I think people as a whole often think, if we can't be 100% or give 100% of ourselves, then we might as well just do none of it. It's not worth doing any of it. But there will be barriers that come up in your life every single day, every single week, every single month, that will make it harder for you to be at 100%. Maybe one week you can give 75% of your energy. Maybe another week it's more like 25. Maybe it's 50%. But finding what that 25, 50, 75% of your energy looks like, or the habits that you need to maintain that fit within that 25%, 50%, 75% of your effort or time. That is what's going to keep you moving towards your goal. It's always worth doing some rather than none. Some veggies are better than no veggies. 10 minutes of exercise is better than no exercise. I can go on forever. 10 minutes of exercise here and there over the long term probably is not going to do a whole lot for your overall health. But what it will do is keep you showing up for yourself and keep the habit in place, so that when you do have time or energy to give yourself that 75% or that 100%, you can bump that up to, a 30-minute workout or more days per week or whatever it might be. So this type of consistency and effort is what propels people towards their goals. Striving for perfection is what causes people to fail. So I cannot stress it enough. progress over perfection every single time. Finding the gray area is huge for momentum and for reaching your goals and staying there. So, my next topic is setting SMART goals. This is super important to make sure that your goals are achievable over time. So, SMART basically is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. So, the specific part of it is what needs to be accomplished. What steps need to be completed to accomplish this goal? Who is responsible for doing it? So it needs to be very specific in terms of, what is the actual goal? We can't have a vague goal because there's no way to tell if we've accomplished it or not. So it just needs to be clear on what needs to be accomplished. What steps do we need to do? So an example of this would be, I need to plan my meals for a week. So you're right there, you're saying that I need to have my meals planned and I'm the one who's responsible for doing it. Measurable. So what data will you use to determine if this goal is met? There's a lot of ways that you can do this. You can do it through logging your food, through habit tracking, through an accountability partner, or working with a professional who's there to hold you accountable. But either way, it needs to be clear on how you're measuring this goal. If you're, again, talking about planning your meals, how are we going to measure that that was accomplished? Are you going to log it in your app with me? Are you going to write it down in a journal? Are you going to put it on your little whiteboard that's on your fridge that plans out all of your meals? How are we going to measure that? Achievable. So are you sure you can do this? Do you have the right tools to be able to execute this? Is this realistic for your lifestyle right now? So this goes back to what I said about certain barriers in your life. So if you typically are planning your meals and you're planning out every single night and you have them all buttoned up and it's assuming that everybody's going to be eating at home in the family for those nights, and you have a week coming up where every single night there's an after school activity, or the kids aren't going to be home this night, your partner won't be home this night, we're eating out this night, then the goal of planning your meals for your normal 7-day meal plan is not going to be as achievable as it would be another week where you don't have as many plans going on. So making sure that it's achievable for the time period, and that you have the right tools to be able to execute this. Relevant. So does your goal align with your overall wants and needs? So is this goal relevant to your overall goal of losing X amount of pounds? Or is this goal relevant to your overall goal of lowering your cholesterol or whatever it might be? So if your goal is to run a marathon and you're really focused on just the fitness component, then maybe planning your meals wouldn't be as relevant to that goal as setting like a training schedule would be. Maybe planning your meals around fueling properly pre and post workout would make more sense. So we need to be very specific and relevant to what's going on. Why will achieving this goal matter also? So, when we're talking about relevance, like, are these goals actually getting you to where you want to be? Will this be something that you are proud of at the end of the week or whatever time frame you've set aside? And finally, timely. So what is the deadline? When will you carve out time to do this? How does this fit in your schedule? So back to my original goal of meal planning. So to make it a SMART goal, basically the way that we would lay it out is so you are the person doing it, want to plan my meals, and I'm going to plan 3 dinners for the week. And that's relevant to my goal of wanting to improve my overall health and nutrition status. And I'm going to set aside time on Friday to do that for the following week. So that's how you make it specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. So there's so many ways that you can attack your goals in this way, but just making sure that it's not like, eat well next week. There's goals that you can set that are way more specific and in this SMART format that are going to get you a lot further than something like eat well next week. It just doesn't have any context. It's a little bit too vague. There's no way to really measure it. And on that note, be prepared for challenges. So, as much as you plan, there will always be things that come up and make it more challenging. And no one will ever reach their goals, small or big, without facing challenges and barriers. But learning to work through those challenges is what creates long term success. So, I've had some clients say to me before, I don't know if I want to meet this week. I just have so many things going on, and I don't feel like I can really, show up and do my best work. That's the time that we need to double down, and not as necessarily double down on, your effort or the time that you're committing to this, but we need to figure out what these barriers are and how to work through them. Are they temporary? Are they long term? How are we going to keep your health goals top of mind during that time? And again, it's still gauging your goals and your amount of effort to what you can do at the time. So I'm not going to ask you to, when your whole world is just kind of throwing barriers in your face, to plan your meals and go to the grocery store and do everything that we normally do on a week where you have a more free time. But we can make adjustments to those goals. So, you would normally go and do all of your grocery shopping yourself. Maybe we get a grocery delivery this week to take that off of your plate. Or maybe things are just way too challenging to even think about food. Maybe we get pre-made meals that we know are high quality delivered to the house this week, whatever it might be. So instead of looking at these failures or roadblocks, look at them as opportunities for growth and for learning, to learn how to work through these challenges and to create that long-term maintenance, because that's really where that comes from. This is where you learn your common challenges as well. So not only are you going to learn what things can pop up that are just random and one-time things that make it really challenging for you, but you're going to learn where these things keep coming into play and your normal pain points or potential for friction so that you can better prepare for them in the future. So one of my examples that I use a lot is, like, let's say you got back from vacation and you had great intentions to get back to your normal cooking, eating, exercise routine for the next week, but your flight gets delayed. And by the time you got home on Sunday night and you have to go back to work Monday morning, you're just way too tired. It's way too late to go to the grocery store and get yourself prepared for the week, talking in context of food. The next thing you know, it's been a whole week without groceries and you've been relying on takeout, and not the kind of takeout that would align great with your health goals. So that's one of the examples that I use a lot for people. So what I usually do in this situation is, next time you go on vacation, if this has happened before and you're like, I don't want to end up with no groceries for the week and not having a chance to get there, not having a chance to set myself up for success, make a grocery list before you leave for your trip and schedule a grocery delivery or a grocery pickup. Make sure that you have these things in place for the next time that it could potentially happen. And another thing that you could do is also prep and freeze meals for emergencies if you end up not being able to get food in the house. So there's definitely ways to set yourself up for success. And if you know your common pain points, prepare for them. So that's really where these barriers and challenges can actually work in your favor as an opportunity. I also saw a couple more people join the presentation here. So if you have any questions or want to add anything, please feel free to use the chat. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to ask some more questions throughout the presentation. One of the questions I asked earlier was, do you typically find it difficult to reach your New Year's resolutions or achieve your New Year's resolutions? If you have any comments, please throw them in the chat. But continuing on here, if you're continuously failing at your small goals, maybe it's time to reconsider what the goals look like. So there is a certain point where these challenges are really just beating you down and your goals that you're setting are just not working for you for whatever reason. That's a time that you can reconsider that SMART format. And for anyone who wasn't here, I'll scroll back a little bit just so you can see that. But reconsider and revisit the SMART format to create a new goal that's specific, measurable, achievable being the key word here, relevant and timely. So if it's not working for you for whatever reason over and over again, then it's time to reconsider and go back to the drawing board. So The other thing that you can do is ask for help. So there's sometimes where these barriers are just too great for you to overcome on your own, or they're making it more difficult for you to accomplish something. You can enlist a friend or a family member to help lessen some of the barriers found in your life. So, if there's someone that can help watch your kids for a little bit and take some time off of you, or someone that can help with the grocery shopping, or someone that can share some recipes with you, or help with meal planning, or be your accountability partner. There's so many ways that other people can help. And if worse comes to worse and you don't have a support system in your life, or you need someone that's maybe more of an external accountability partner, you can always enlist the help of a professional like myself. So, talking more about accountability, showing up for yourself is a skill that needs to be built and nurtured. We don't automatically do this, and we all have a tendency, I would say, for the most part, to disregard our own wants, needs, goals to take care of other people. So, it's also hard to hold yourself accountable. It needs to be something that you consistently do and get better at. Consistently showing up for yourself and using your accountability tools will help create a solid foundation. Accountability tools are different from person to person, but they can be, especially in today's day and age, apps, reminders, tracking systems, whatever it might be, whether you're a pen and paper person, a phone person, maybe you have a work calendar that you live by and you can set reminders in there or block off time to do certain things. Whatever works for you, and it's different for everyone. So I want to stress that, just because some people do really well with logging food in an app doesn't mean that you will. Some people might do better with sort of like a habit tracker scenario. So it really is different from person to person. Try different things until it works for you. And then accountability tools can also be people. So friends, family members, professionals like myself, that can be a really invaluable thing as well. So, it's helpful to have someone that you need to show up to be able to hold yourself accountable. So to give you some examples of accountability tools, these are some tools that we have here at On Point Nutrition that we use as accountability tools that have been really helpful for our clients. You can find this by, obviously working with us, but there's also so many other things out there that are similar. But we have our one-on-one coaching sessions where our clients can show up, talk to us, get advice, tools, tips, tricks, and really talk through their goals and how we're going to achieve them for the week. There's also the food logging app where you can log your food. It holds you accountable because your dietitian can see it on in real time on their end. There's also analytics, so we can see how your food is matching up to where we want it to be. So when we're talking about like food focused, nutrition focused goals, this is a super helpful tool. I'm sure a lot of us have been on food logging apps before. But in this specific case, you're connected with your dietitian through the messaging feature, which is what you'll see on the right there. So you can see that you can message your dietitian in real time, get feedback. They can also just pop in and say, hey, I saw your logs today. They look really good. So a lot of that can be super, super helpful in maintaining your goals and maintaining your progress over time. Speaking of maintaining your progress, this is one of the hardest parts about reaching your goals. So not only are people not reaching their New Year's resolutions or not achieving them by the end of the year, but the biggest challenge for people in terms of what we're seeing in research tends to be maintenance. So I'm sure you've heard the statistics about, people losing weight and not being able to keep it off, or, lowering their cholesterol, but it popping right back up. So, these are clearly things that are difficult to maintain. And I think that comes back to the way that we set our goals. So I know no one really wants to hear this, but there is no end to goal setting. You will set goals for the rest of your life. And if we make goals our friend, this can really, really help us and help maintain our progress. So the things that you do to reach your goals, you need to be able to do forever to maintain them, which is why, well, at least, when it comes to nutrition, fitness, overall health, which is why at On Point, we take the approach of, we're not going to give you such a low calorie number that you're starving all the time, or we're not going to have you cut out carbs forever or anything like that, or cut out any major food groups, because the reality of it is that you can reach your goals without doing that. And when you do those things, you will eventually eat carbs again. And then what happens? Your body's going to respond in the same way it did when you were overeating carbs before. So the biggest thing for us is that everything that you do along the way needs to be manageable, maintainable, and achievable. So that's why extreme diets never really work. But if you set small goals around changing your actual habits, so thoughtful grocery shopping, meal planning, meal preparation, swapping out, lower quality ingredients for higher quality ingredients, lessening takeout, those sorts of things, the gradual change will make these things that seem like big changes more attainable in the short term and will become a lifestyle change, not a diet. So, we're changing small things over time and making sure that you're able to sustain them long term. Once your lofty goals have been reached, so if your goal is weight loss or your goal is, improving a health related or a diet related condition, or your goal is just to improve your overall eating habits, whatever it might be, once your lofty goals have been reached, it's important to consistently set goals to maintain the habits that got you there. Always think, what went well last week? What didn't? How can I make this week just a little bit better? So to give you an example for myself, I constantly think about the three things in my life that I always have to maintain, which is food, fitness, and hydration. Those are the things that I feel like are my big pillars of health that I focus on. So every week I reflect on those three things. How was my food? How was my fitness? How was my hydration? And I will tell you that every week, at least one of those is struggling a little bit. And recently it's been hydration. So next week, or this current week, I'm really focusing on my water intake. But my fitness isn't going as well as I'd hoped it would, just because things are extra busy this time of year. So, reflecting on this week, I'll probably say my hydration was good, my food was good, but let's focus a little bit more on the fitness component next week. And it's just this constant cycle of trying to continuously reach your goals, continuously make things better, and thinking about what's achievable in the moment. And it gets so much easier over time. It doesn't need to be this really meticulous process. It just needs to be intentional. So progress should honestly end up looking like steps on, basically like a staircase. So it should be like making progress, making progress, making progress, and then we're just maintaining a little bit, making progress, making progress, making progress, maintaining a little bit. So you're going to look different in different phases of your life, but keeping your head above water and keeping your goals going is going to be the most important thing for maintenance. So if anyone's willing to drop into the chat, I would love to hear what some of your goals are for 2024. If you've already started thinking about them, if you have anything, maybe some of your goals from 2023, if you haven't started thinking about anything from 2024 yet. And then I would also want you to just kind of think about in your own head, like, how can we turn these into SMART goals? How can we make them more specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely? So I will tell you that I have already thought of my goals for 2024, and most of them are focused on mental health. I think working from home for so long causes you to have to focus on mental health a little bit more than the average person. So I am trying to incorporate more yoga practice, more outside walks, more time with friends and family, and really focus on stress relief practices. So right now I'm in the process of creating those and making those into SMART goals. So I have my overarching goal of stress management and improving my mental health. And then those little things are sort of my branched off smaller goals that will help me hopefully reach those in 2024. But right now I'm in the process of really breaking them down and creating a little stepwise process to get me there. So anyone have any goals to share? You can drop it in the chat. And in the meantime, I will pop over and show you what we're currently doing. So if you feel like you need an accountability partner, or this, a lot of this discussion really resonated with you and you think that you might need someone to help you with setting realistic and manageable goals in 2024, feel free to scan the QR code right on this page. You'll be able to schedule a free consultation with us. This is just where you chat with one of the members of our client experience team. You'll learn a little bit more about our programs. They can talk to you about potential insurance coverage for working with a dietitian and see if we can get you set up with someone for the new year. We do have two options here, which is one-on-one coaching, kind of what I've been talking about this whole time. You can meet up to 2 times a week with a dietitian, but there's obviously programs that are less intensive than that, things that are a little bit less frequent calls. You'll also have access to our food logging app, resource database, unlimited messaging with your dietitian, all those good things. And these are currently 10% off, which is great. And that is an exclusive discount for our friends at Accenture. So please take advantage of it. Schedule a free consultation with us. We'd love to chat with you. And then we also have our self-guided materials where you can take your health journey into your own hands. You won't meet one-on-one with the dietitian, but there are plenty of pre-made meal plans, recipe books, web courses, all those kinds of things where you can sort of DIY your own journey. So you can find all of that on our website, which is onpoint-nutrition.com. So any questions? Feel free to drop it in the chat. I have loved this conversation. This is something that I talk about all the time with my clients. It's a super important topic. It's really the base of what I do, and what we do as counselors is goal setting. So I'd love to hear if you have any questions, comments, any goals for 2024, please drop them in here. And as far as the QR code on the previous page and potentially working with us or getting resources from us, I'm going to send out a follow-up email as well, so you have all that information. So don't worry if you didn't get a chance to do that. But I will also pull up the QR code just one more time in case anybody missed it. But feel free to drop your questions in here. I'll hang around for a couple more minutes. Hopefully we can get a little bit of a chat going. But if not, I thank you for joining me, and happy almost New Year. Take some time to sip my coffee while I'm waiting for some chats to come through. No goals for 2024? Well, if anyone thinks of anything, you can always email me and I can get you connected directly to our client experience team if you're interested in working with us, or if you just want to share your thoughts or feedback. I'd love to hear from you. So once you get those emails from me, just feel free to reach out. But this has been great. So thank you, everyone. And I hope to see you at our next webinar in the new year. All right. Have a good rest of your week.